I think I recorded once without sound. Makes me nervous. So first of all, I'm Linda Rawson, and I own DynaGrace Enterprises along with Jennifer. She is my daughter, and she's also the vice president. And we've been in business for over a decade. And we're based out of Morgan County. We have a home office in her house. She lives over on 100 South. And we provide information technology services and building automation solutions to government and commercial clients. That is my 90s, my little pitch. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Let's do freaking switch over to here. Maybe. How come it's not broadcasting? Do you know?
It is.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is me. I'm on the little girl on the horse. I grew up in Milton. I lived there my entire, childhood. I came from a family. I was both my parents' third marriage. My parents were in their early 40s when they had me. And my half siblings from both sides are at least 15 years older than me. So it was kind of like I was the little pesky fly, and my brother's like, get, and that's the environment I grew up with. Now my dad was an alcoholic, and so him and my mother, they broke up probably I was about a year and a half. So I never really knew him very well. I do remember him taking me to the post, though, to play Keno a few times. So, or, I'd wait in the car, But regardless, my mom was a single mom. And so I was her second litter. And you can see here, I had a great childhood in Morgan. I did horse 4-H. I participated in volleyball. I wasn't say I was great at volleyball. I was kind of just on the team. And there's some really bad hair days in high school, and as well as I was in band. I actually received a music scholarship from Utah State, but I decided to do the Mormon thing and got married at 18. So that's that all happened, and my extended family, my mom raised a third litter, and you may know Michelle Lowry. This is her family. My brother couldn't care for his two daughters, and neither could his wife. And so she raised them from infancy when she was like my age, 51, 52. So she was working full time and had two babies and myself. So it was a crazy time for her. So, and she worked at Hill Air Force Base. This is my family. This is I have my oldest son Jeremiah and my youngest son Ray, and this is Jennifer and her husband and two kids. And we, I would say we're a super close family, but we have a lot of fun together, and I rely on this one immensely. So I want to talk a little bit about the effect your mother has on you. And growing up, she worked a lot. I remember going to work with her. She'd work overtime. She was very introverted. She was probably a little depressed, and I am a little pessimistic, and she hated men, just hated men. And so I am the exact opposite of her. And so, but it caused me to always try to get her attention and always achieve and always overachieve. And so I was constantly doing multiple things to get that reward. And she passed away last year, and I all of a sudden had nobody to achieve for. Who was I going to achieve for? Right? So it was like I had this awakening for a month or two where I couldn't get out of bed. I really was struggling with motivation. And as a small business owner and entrepreneur, that's like death. If you can't get yourself out of bed in the morning and start your day at like 5:30 and go till 5:30 at night, you're going to miss out on a bunch of opportunities. So I can't begin to stress how we have the effect on our daughters, and our mothers have that effect on us, and how, you deal with grief, and how you deal with certain things, ramifications from your childhood. So my early career, I started at age 18 at Hill Air Force Base. I was these 80 card columns. I worked at this machine that, like, I would push the button and it would sort them, and I would push the next button, it would sort them. And then once they were sorted, I would sit down at a computer screen and use like the 10 key or whatever and enter this data. And so I was asking my supervisor one day, because I could see the program was on a multi-user system way back in the day. And I said, I really think that I could make this better. I could make this easier and quicker. And I go, would you let me work on this? Would you let me program this computer? And he said, if you get all of your work done, then yeah, sure, no problem. So I would be like, and then I would just like want to program. That's what I wanted to do. So I appreciate him so much for letting me experiment, and I love that as long as you get your work done. I love that attitude, because that empowers people to do more. I am a self-taught software developer. I've been doing it since age 18, so over 3 decades. I have been involved with all of these languages, all of these databases. I've done environmental systems, bioinformatics, RFID, base detection. I've done state-of-the-art software the whole time in a man's industry. So although I don't particularly ever remember discrimination, it was always, there's always some discrimination. And it worked out in my favor later when I used some of that discrimination to get my minority status with the government. I got my 8A status based on that discrimination. So why did I become an entrepreneur? I had a great career. I was a cube rat, making like 6 figures every year, sitting in a cube, writing software. I could work at home sometimes, and I could run these guys around. And so I had a blast from my past come, and he said, Linda, we have an opportunity for you to work at NASA underneath a subcontractor writing RFID software for hazmat. And he said, but it's going to require you to quit your W-2 and go 1099, start your own business. And so I was divorced. I had 3 kids in high school. By the way, they're all Morgan High graduates. They were all Morgan High. and allowed me to say, what's the worst thing that can happen? What can happen? Well, they might have to sleep on somebody's couch for a month or 2, and that's really good for kids anyway. And I just decided that I had skills, and the worst thing that could happen was I'd have to find another job. So I took the jump and took a chance. And Sensory Technology Consultants was born, which was later the name changed to DynaGrace Enterprises. And this is us today. You can see this is our address. We have multi-million-dollar revenues every year. We've been in business over a decade. So we're not really well known because our business is at Hill Air Force Base or in Washington, D.C. or in Delaware. So around the county, it's probably the first you've ever even heard of us, right? So I'm glad that we get the opportunity to speak today, because we do have a lot to say to women in business, for sure. We are 8A certified, 100% woman-owned, and we're also 100% economically disadvantaged. So we take advantage of that stuff. I'm the president, and Jennifer's the vice president. I do business development, sales. I'm constantly networking. If there's anybody that you're looking for, chances are I might be able to help you out and know who that is. I manage the company, and Jennifer takes over the day-to-day operations. She makes sure our employees are taken care of, our certifications are up to date. She does all the finances, all the customer support. She is a godsend. And we have very different personalities. We're a family-owned business that can bring its own set of problems. And we're also, she is such a good worker, and I'm all over the place with my age. It's everywhere. So I'm constantly, she's like, but she's the still small voice that says, hey, we need to stop and look at this. And I've learned that I need to listen when she says that, because she's dead on the money. She knows exactly what she's talking about. So she's very important in our business. So as women, we're traditionally taught that it's expected that we're going to be homemakers. That we have a pink blanket, we're given dolls, the guys are getting, given trucks, and that math and science are for boys. I remember in Mr. Krieger's class that he would leave the room and I would help all the football players pass their math test just so they could play football. So, I know football is way important in Morgan County, but so it was even in high school, like they, I wanted to take calculus, but it was only offered on videotape. And so there was lots of reasons. I had lots of reasons to fail, but I didn't. Even in school, sometimes the tone of voice of a teacher will be different to a girl versus a boy. So, and we're trying to change that. And this is where I wanted to, I don't know if you've seen this movie, but it is fantastic. It's called Hidden Figures, and it's about the mathematicians at NASA. Huh? Okay. Yep. Let me see. How do I get it on the TV? You gotta get it on the PowerPoint. Has anyone seen this one? No, Mom's not. I know. I can't find it. You have too many tabs. I do. So I'm in here. Go to your PowerPoint. That one. That one. Okay. And click probably stop or something. Pause. Okay. And then, or maybe end slideshow. Now go to YouTube. How do I go to full screen? That's right there. All right. Let's go back. Huh? This may not work out, but we're gonna try. Is it up? You guys hear it? A little bit.
And shooting a human into space that's never been done before. With the launch of the
Do that one.
Space test for the pizza computer. There goes the girl good. She can handle any numbers you put in front of her.
This was about inventing the math, because without it, we're not going anywhere.
Yes, sir. That's John Glenn.
What do you guys do for NASA?
Calculate your launch and land. How could you think, oh, Glenn, got me? There's equal rights. I have the right to subtract in every color.
Do you wish to be an engineer?
I wouldn't have to. I'd already be one.
Yes.
I don't know if I can keep up in that. Just make that pencil move as fast as your mind does.
You've been gone for 300 hours.
Felt like it to me too. Colonel Glenn launches in a few weeks. We don't have the man figured out yet.
There's no protocol for women attending.
There's no protocol for man circling the earth either, sir. Every time we have a chance to get ahead, they move the finish line. I need to be in that room hearing what you hear.
Within these walls, who makes the rules?
You, sir, you are the boss. You just have to act like one.
It's such a good movie.
Together, we don't get there at all. The fight of our lives, people.
My answer is, we can do the work.
More than 50 million Americans watching I got a warning light. Go find Captain.
Probably.
There's a real fireball outside. It's getting a little hot in here.
And now we have to get back to the other one.
Up at the top, Mom.
You should be operating this.
I'll move the speakers so it doesn't make noise. There we go.
Oh shoot. Now I gotta go to the current slide. All right, so what was so profound about these women, it was so heartfelt for me, is that they were not only held back because they were women, they were held back because they were Black. And so the one woman couldn't even use the restroom in the building she worked in. She had to run for a mile to use the restroom and come back. Right? And so all of the things that happened, she would do her report. It would be all of her calculations, and she couldn't put her name on it. She had to put the other man's name on it. And so, I mean, it was just so like, wow, it was incredible. And then they're little like watching, like the woman that was watching the mainframe and knew that they would need programming. So she went and checked a book out of the library, almost to the point where she got kicked out of the library just to learn ADA and teach all of her people ADA so that they could take on that work when it came around. I mean, it was really, really awesome. So, and then we have some Yahoo like this last week. Did you guys read about him?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is a Utah senator that says that it's bad for families for women to make more than men. And so, I mean, it was really interesting when I read this, and it made national news. Utah made national news off of this.
Yeah, so sorry for his wife.
I know, right?
And
So, but I mean, it really is a personal preference. I don't have any, my niece is a wonderful homemaker, and that's her choice. You know what I mean? But I think if it's not your choice, that you should make the same, if you're working, you should make the same salary that a man does. You know, it just should be. So I have the link to this. I wanted to talk a little bit about the statistics in Utah about women-owned small businesses, you know, and how they compare. You can see that for the most part, it's about 35%, you know, women compared to men. Now, Morgan County salary-wise, man, the women are rocking it up here. So as far as salary compared to men, but the number of businesses is not, you know, is about 2 to 1. Computer science in Utah, which happens to be, I was at a VR meeting last night, and they were talking about the up and coming. They need so many programmers in VR right now. And so they're really kicking the STEM. I have some information up here about the STEM bus, and also some other information. But here it is that the average salary for computing occupation is $77,000. Utah had 1,800 graduates, and only 11% were female. Out of 129 high school students in Utah that took the AP computer science exam, only 12% were female. This is something I can't begin to stress enough that a woman can do at home. You can work remotely, you can work at home with your kids. So it really is an occupation we need to gear our daughters to and our girls to. Only 14 schools in Utah even offered the AP computer science course. And I don't know about Morgan's school or anything. This is just average in Utah. There is a bill right now out, SB 210, for equal pay. You might want to go read about it, and if you feel strongly about it, contact your legislature. But it basically talks about a study being offered by the Department of Workforce Services to, you know, study equal pay for men and women. So, I mean, our legislatures are aware, except for the one that just resigned.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
That's aside with how many women-owned businesses and men. What if it's a couple-owned business? Do you know where that falls?
I used American Fact Finder, which is the census.
Okay.
So I have,
Sure.
if you want, I can tell you exactly where the source is for that.
Okay.
And so it takes a minute. It's a little bit of a learning. Well, to you, obviously, it takes me a minute to operate the video, but
Go on the website, right?
so
Okay.
but yeah, so it's kind of, but once it's really interesting to look at the census data, you know, and find you know, what you're interested in. So what made me different? I had every chance to fail. Single mom household, poor as heck. You know, a really, I would consider almost mental illness, you know, like depression from my mom, you know what I mean? So every opportunity, failed marriage, you know, it's like, what made me different? What is it? You know, and so I'm risk adverse. I have no problem taking a risk. I can jump into anything and not think about it. And you know, I tell people that do not like risk, that they set their boundary and then they say, I'm going to do 10% more than that. You know, that at least gives them a little bit of option to be a little riskier behavior, because you're going to go a lot further if you can get rid of that safety net. I'm optimistic. I have rose-colored glasses to a fault, and I can see the best in everything, and sometimes that's not always a good thing. And then I'm very hardworking. I can, you know, I've had many years of 60-hour weeks to 80-hour weeks, many years. I'm passionate about what I do. I love what I do. And I just never, ever thought that a woman couldn't do it. I never had that in my mind. It was just always, I can do that, I can do that, you know, and I think you just have to go for it. So currently I have a few projects in the works besides DynaGrace. Jennifer and I are involved in all of these. Big Sexy Words have a group of freelance writers that write blog posts, and we edit people's books. We lay them out for CreateSpace. We do some things in the writing arena. So that's kind of what that's about. We get a lot of foreigners like our Facebook page. We competed in Silicon Slopes this year. We're getting ready to do a Kickstarter campaign for this little gadget. It's a portable compact weather station. That's the prototype to help people learn about weather and be able to track your own weather, and also have a kid's scientific weather kit, and hopefully get it on the STEM bus. Along with Tamara Tran, Rilex, we do a podcast. We just got started, so it's really rough. In fact, we haven't told a lot of people about it because she's still like, she's really fun to work with, but our first one was so scripted that I'm not sure I would listen to it either. But we're getting more natural, and we taped a couple of episodes last week. And then I am first a mother, grandmother, CEO and founder, author, and a public speaker. And if you want to connect with me, I'm on any of those platforms. You can find me easily. I brought my book today. It's the Minority and Women-Owned Small Business Guide to Government Contracts. It's been my bread and butter. So if you want to learn how to get into it or get started, it's an easy way to get going in business. It is daunting. There's lots of paperwork involved, but it can be lucrative. And Jennifer makes sure that we're up on all of our paperwork. And whoops, I guess that was it. So that's my presentation for you today. So do we have any questions? No? No questions? Awesome.
I have a question.
Oh,
So when you formulated your idea it sounds like you've had several. How do you take that to the next level to actually apply what you're dreaming of doing?
that has been a challenge for me. So I am an inventor. I'm an idea person. I'm all over the place. So although I can see the next steps to do to get it to that place, because I've spread myself a little thin, that it doesn't get, so we are, even in our own company, focusing in. And I would say it's focus. And we have plenty of resources in the state of Utah, plenty. There's so many, and they will help you take your product from start to finish. But I mean, really, it's research, it's being in the right place at the right time, it's knowing the right people, all of those factors. Look at her, she's getting ready to go into Harmon's. So
Hopefully.
oh no, we're not saying hopefully, we're gonna see her in Harmon's.
No, I would say a month from now, I'm gonna go in with the
There we
presentation
go.
and everything.
Yeah.
And I hired me, because I've been in the business now for 3-4 years. And I got to the point where I got as far as I can go by myself. So at the end of last year, I hired me a marketing guy who worked for Utah's Own and for Agriculture Department and other places. And he's been sitting down with us. He comes to the house to talk with me and my husband, and he teaches